you've mentioned, I think that you kind of feel like a fatherly energy for Daryl, and there's a grandfather energy associated with Bashar. I think it's interesting that Bashar is actually more like our child, right? If we're thinking linearly. Do you ever feel like that relationship at all? I mean, or how would you describe those energies and those relationships?
Oh, now I'm really gonna get emotional. Well, my father's name is Daryl as well. And it was such a moment for me when I first heard Bashar channel. It was a remembering of something that I had completely forgotten that I had forgotten. And I think a lot of us had this sensation upon first hearing the channeling. And I just welled with emotion. And looking back on it now, there was like this sense of pride in a way of like that you might feel for like a child, like doing really well.
Wow.
But I didn't know where that was coming from. It took me a long time after to place it together, to be like, oh, interesting. And it was a pride not only in that kind of motherly way, but also a pride for humanity, a pride for all of the expansion. And then when I met Daryl in person, and he looked at me and said, "It's really nice to see you." And I heard and I felt in this way here and now. Mm-hmm. Like I heard it in my, like how sometimes we hear like Bashar, you know, talking to us, right? Yeah. That's what I heard when Daryl was giving me a hug to go on his doorstep. And I felt this moment of potentially all of the different timelines. So in this now, like teacher and student, grandfather and, you know, daughter, father and daughter, friends, peers, like in that one moment, I was like, how many incarnations am I simultaneously having with this individual as I'm standing on this doorstep in LA? And he told me, if you ever, and I thought I was like making it up. You know, I was like, I am going crazy. I am losing my mind. And then he told me, if you ever need anything, you call me. Okay. So then like that was enough to be like, okay, this was all, you know, there's something happening here. And honestly, I think there's something in him that knew I had a really strong connection. I don't know what he remembered or what he saw from, you know, being in the altered state that day. But I think there was something that he knew. And he's helped me so much throughout the years, like personally, that I don't know where I would be without that individual in my life in regards to like my sanity. Mm-hmm. And then I had a dream at one point where I was in this big ship or like warehouse, and Daryl was there was a whole bunch of humans there, and we were lined up, and there were all these different pods, like these little individual like space pods. And Daryl had like a clipboard and was like the one like checking people in, you know, and like showing everyone like where their pod was at. Uh-huh. And I got to him and I was like, oh, that's funny. Like you have the Daryl face on, but like you're both of you right now. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't need you to tell me where my pod is. I totally know where my pod is. Like, this is my ship. Like, you're on my ship. And this was even before I like really even like knew like who Bella was or anything like that. specifically, but I knew that I had a channeling agreement. And then there was just kind of this laughing moment, and I scampered off and went to my little pod. I'm sure there was more adventures from there that I don't remember, but after waking that day, there was a shift in me where I realized linearly, like you said, like, oh, wow, fascinating. Like we're actually like his great grandmothers and grandfathers. Like, and that's a really important distinction, I feel like, for us to have, so we can begin to balance the scales of our interactions with these beings. And then there were times when I would listen to sessions and I would almost be like, Ely, like you're not giving attention to the emotions. Like, come on, like you're sounding so gray right now. Like, I love you. Like, I know what you're saying. I know that you're coming from like, this tippy top bird's perspective. I know it, but like, it's not getting all the way through to the human heart. And like, I would have these telepathic exchanges where I would feel like the mother or the teacher to be like, hey, tilt it this way. Sit, like, you got to give a little more you got to like,
Yeah.
I would notice that then maybe not right within that transmission, but like the next time thing, he would phrase things slightly differently. Or I would notice synchronicities when I hadn't been in contact with Daryl at all, explaining these things. And, I'm not going to like, there's certain things that I feel like almost like embarrassed to even like say, but this is like part of our journey of being like, oh, like maybe it's this way, or, it's like questioning the teacher in this way allows us to really step into our own race and what we're bringing to the table in our cosmic heritage. So there were moments though, where I had very specific, kind of like, well, I would have done it this way. And then it would switch ever so slightly, and he would bring through a slightly different energy. And then I would feel again, like this, like sense of pride and really, for me individually, but for all humanity, being able to mirror to our children and then them being able to utilize it to help us. Like I could feel this full circle effect. And yeah, it's been a really, really beautiful story and dance that I still feel like I'm fully uncovering the puzzle pieces for. Like, I don't have it all figured out at all. But I'm so thankful for how kind Daryl has always been, and been there for me when it's been needed. And and I'm so thankful too for being and appreciative for being welcomed by this community too, as I continue to step out and share. It's really beautiful to feel that Ely and that reflection in the mirror within all of us.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that about how you were saying that when you listened to Bashar, and you would say, maybe you could say it in a different way that would reach me more, or I don't really, for me, sometimes I don't understand certain things that he says, but it's like a process. It's not like a negative thing at all. It's like, and then I've set with the things I don't understand a lot. And sometimes I reach that place that you were talking about, like with Bella, where you just say, well, I've thought about this enough. I'm just going to let it go and follow my excitement. Yeah. But then other times, like maybe a metaphor will come to me, or a more maybe emotional, heart-based way of understanding it and describing it will come to me. And I have also seen that as well, like in transmissions later on, that he's also, integrating what we are learning and discovering on our own. It's just amazing how we're working together.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times be able to use things from certain interactions with individuals, whether it be in a live big event session or one-on-one session, he'll realize, from this one individual, we got a translation that we haven't gotten before, and that this is applicable to everyone. And it's so beautiful to see it continue to integrate and transform. And like, truly, like when they say like, we thank you. Like, we are learning from you as much as, that's so true, completely true.
Yeah.
They're learning so much more about themselves, more about the universe, and I think more to be able to translate to provide different ways of looking at it. Like, essentially, to me, the message that they've been bringing forth for the last 35 years through Daryl is like one crystal. Like, it's just one idea. It's just like this here, like this is it. And we're like, like this can't be it. Like, that's what we're talking about. Like, that's really fucking simple. Like, no, that's crazy. And so what they've been doing is, okay, we can say it this way and this way and this way. And what if we turn it around this way and say it this way? And so it's so fun they're relentlessly passionate about finding all of the different ways that they could tilt this one prism for all of the different songs and different ways that people hear and receive information.
Yeah, they love exploring all the different perspectives of all of us. And
absolutely.
Expanding.